How does the Flask response object work in Python? Have you ever wondered how web applications send data back to your browser? In Flask, the response object is the key player in this process. It represents the information that your application sends back to the client after it handles a request. When you create a view function in Flask, whatever you return is transformed into a response object if it isn't one already. This object includes the response body, the HTTP status code, and the headers. Let's break down how Flask manages different return types from a view function to create a response object. If you return a simple string, Flask will wrap that string in a response object, setting the status code to 200, which means everything is okay, and it will use text HTML as the default content type. Now, if you return a dictionary or a list, Flask automatically converts that into JSON format. This is done using a helper function, and the response object will contain the JSON data. This makes it easy to send structured data back to the client. What if you return an iterator or a generator that yields strings or bytes? In that case, Flask treats it as a streaming response. This is useful for sending large amounts of data without loading everything into memory at once. Returning a tuple is another option. A tuple can contain the response body, status code, and headers in various combinations. Flask will use this information to customize the response as needed. If you happen to return a response object directly, Flask will send it back to the client without making any changes. But what if your return value does not fit into any of these categories? Flask will treat it as a valid web server, gateway interface application and create a response object from it. You can also create or modify a response object manually using Flask's makeResponse function. This is handy when you want to customize the response beyond what Flask does automatically. For example, you might want to set custom headers, change the status code, or alter the MIME type. A typical use of makeResponse might involve creating a response object from some content, like a rendered HTML template. You can then modify headers, the status code, or other properties on the response object before returning it from your view function. The response object in Flask is built on top of Worksuge's response class, which gives you a flexible way to control what your web application sends back to the client. Understanding how Flask converts different return types into response objects and how to customize these responses is essential for building web applications with Flask. So, the next time you create a view function in Flask, remember that the response object is your tool for shaping the data you send back to users.